Some fights aren't about money. Some are about doing what's right. My name's Alex Carter, 35 years old, homeowner, father and engineer living in Willow Creek Estates. I never thought I'd end up fighting my HOA in court. But when they went after my disabled neighbor, I knew someone had to stand up. The beginning. My neighbor, Mr. Henry Wallace, lived 2 doors down. 70 years old, Korean War veteran, always smiling, even though he'd lost part of his leg years ago. Every morning, he'd wave from his porch while his service dog, Buddy, fetched his mail. The guy was the heart of our street. Until one morning, I saw something taped to his door. A bright orange HOA violation notice. I walked over. He looked embarrassed, holding the paper like it was poison. "They're fining me," he said quietly. "For what?" I asked. "For building that ramp." The ramp. Henry had installed a small wooden ramp over his front steps, nothing fancy, just enough for his wheelchair. It wasn't blocking the sidewalk, it wasn't ugly. But apparently, the HOA thought it disrupted community aesthetics. I read the letter. Remove unapproved structure or face $200 daily fines. My blood boiled. He said I tried to get approval, but they said ramps lower property values. I can't even leave my house without it. I couldn't believe it. They wanted him trapped inside his own home because it didn't fit their picture-perfect brochure. Brain the idea. That night, I did some digging. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and the Fair Housing Act, FHA, what the HOA was doing was illegal. You can't deny accessibility modifications to disabled residents. So I printed out every page of those laws. Then I knocked on Henry's door. "Henry," I said, "if they won't stop, we'll make them." He smiled sadly. "Son, I don't have the money for lawyers." I grinned. "You don't need money, you have me." Open mailbox with raised flag, the confrontation. The next HOA meeting was in the clubhouse. 5 board members, including the president, Linda Meadows, who always acted like she ran a private country club. When they opened the floor for comments, I stood up. "I'm here on behalf of Mr. Wallace," I said. Linda rolled her eyes. "Another complaint about the ramp." "Not a complaint," I said. "A reminder, what you're doing violates federal law." The room went silent. I laid down the papers. The ADA and Fair Housing Act both require reasonable accommodations for disabled residents. You're fining a veteran for a ramp. That's discrimination. Linda laughed. "You're not a lawyer, Mr. Carter." I smiled. "No, but my wife is." Her face dropped. "Balance the case." We filed a formal complaint with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and the local district court. My wife, Samantha, handled the legal paperwork. The HOA thought we'd back down. Instead, HUD sent an investigator. He inspected the ramp, reviewed the HOA letters, and interviewed Henry. When he left, he said quietly to me, "You've done the right thing." 2 weeks later, HUD filed civil charges against the HOA for discriminatory practices. Collision, the hearing. At the hearing, Linda tried to act innocent. "We were just enforcing rules," she said. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Rules that prevent a disabled veteran from leaving his house." Linda's lawyer fumbled with papers. "It's about aesthetics." The judge cut him off. "Accessibility is not an aesthetic choice." Then came the kicker. I played a recording I'd taken from the HOA meeting where Linda had said, "If we let him have a ramp, next thing you know, everyone will want one." The courtroom went silent. The judge looked furious. He ruled immediately. HOA guilty of discrimination under the ADA. Ordered to pay $50,000 in damages to Henry. All fines cancelled. Mandatory anti-discrimination training for the entire board. Rainbow the aftermath. When Henry got the check, he didn't buy anything fancy. He built a new permanent ramp, this time made of brick, with flowers on each side. And a small plaque that read, "Freedom to enter for everyone." The HOA had to pay for it. Linda resigned quietly. The new board sent an apology letter to Henry and asked him to be an advisor on accessibility. Read the ending. A few weeks later, I was mowing my lawn when Henry waved again. He looked stronger, happier. "Hey, Alex," he shouted. "I'm heading to the community meeting, and this time through the front door." I laughed. The sun caught the brass plaque on his ramp, gleaming bright. Sometimes the smallest ramps lead to the biggest victories. They fined him for a ramp, but he walked all over them in court. Fade out uplifting music, slow pan across neighborhood, ending on Henry and his service dog buddy sitting peacefully on the porch.